The Trump transition team is reportedly compiling a list of senior current and former U.S. military officers involved in the 2021 withdrawal from Afghanistan, exploring whether they could face court-martial or even charges as severe as treason for their roles, according to a U.S. official and a source familiar with the plan. As part of this effort, the team is considering the creation of a commission to investigate the chaotic withdrawal, gathering information on who was involved in the military's decision-making, how the operation was executed, and whether any actions could be legally deemed as treasonous. The sources indicated that the transition team is taking this investigation very seriously. Matt Flynn, a former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for Counter-Narcotics and Global Threats, is said to be helping lead the initiative. It is framed as a review not only of the U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan, but also of the broader historical context, examining how the U.S. became involved in the conflict in the first place. Former President Donald Trump has repeatedly condemned the withdrawal as humiliating and one of the most embarrassing days in U.S. history. However, it remains unclear what legal grounds would justify pursuing treason charges, considering that military leaders were acting under the orders of President Joe Biden, who authorized the full withdrawal of U.S. forces. A 2022 independent review by the Special Inspector General for Afghanistan Reconstruction criticized both the Trump and Biden administrations for their handling of the withdrawal. Trump had initiated a peace agreement with the Taliban in 2020, which included plans to withdraw U.S. forces, about 13,000 troops, while securing the release of 5,000 Taliban prisoners. The Biden administration subsequently completed the withdrawal, but U.S. officials severely underestimated the ability of Afghan government forces to fend off the Taliban on their own. One of Trump's proposed picks for Secretary of Defense, Fox News commentator Pete Hegseth, has sharply criticized the way the withdrawal unfolded, calling it a failure that squandered billions of dollars. In his book The War on Warriors, Hegseth argues that the next president should radically overhaul Pentagon leadership, citing the Afghanistan withdrawal as the clearest example of military mismanagement. Hegseth referred to the pullout as a humiliating retreat and lambasted Pentagon leadership for failing to take responsibility for the deadly attack at Abbey Gate, which killed 13 U.S. service members and roughly 170 Afghan civilians. He also criticized a U.S. airstrike in Kabul, which was intended to target the leader of the Islamic State, but instead killed 10 innocent Afghans, including 7 children. These generals lied. They mismanaged. They violated their oath. They failed. They disgraced our troops and our nation, Hegseth wrote. They got people killed unnecessarily, and to this day, they keep their jobs, continuing to erode our military's values. The Trump transition team is said to be considering recalling several military leaders to active duty for potential charges, though it is unclear whether the focus will be on treason or lesser charges related to their involvement in the withdrawal. The team is reportedly keen to set an example for future military leadership. Howard Lutnick, one of the 2 advisors leading the Trump transition, spoke about the lessons learned from the former president's first term, particularly regarding military appointments. He noted that Trump had made the mistake of hiring generals who were aligned with the Democratic Party and pledged not to repeat that in his second term. Former officials who served in the Trump administration have stated that they advised the president against certain military actions, such as withdrawing from Syria, which they believed could harm U.S. national security. They also cautioned against deploying active-duty U.S. troops to handle domestic protests following the 2020 killing of George Floyd, citing constitutional concerns and the risk of inflaming political tensions.